community. We're doing that by advocating for all levels, at all levels of government. So the Spotlight Initiative not just working with civil society, it's working directly with the government of Liberia. So in fact, the project is called the EU-UN Government of Liberia Spotlight Initiative Project. So it's not just working with civil society like ours, it's also working with the government. So it also provides technical support and capacity building for legal practitioners and those that are involved into law enforcement. And then it also ensures technical assistance and capacity building, who will also ensure active and meaningful participation of women. So that's some of the part. Another pillar is the strengthening the national government and regional institutions. So under this pillar, it work to better inform decision makers. It also develop fully financed national action plan on any violence against women. And it also promote gender responsive ministries. So the gender responsive ministries will be the Ministry of Health, the Ministry of Gender, and the ministries that are responding actively to issues affecting women. It also ensure linkages across institutions like migration, disability, poverty, ethnicity, age, location, education, and overall violence and conflict. So that's the second area. The third area, it talks about prevention, which talks about promoting gender equitable norms, attitudes, and behavior. And that's where we come in, we as the Female Journalists Association of Liberia. So we work directly under that pillar. And under that pillar is intended to prevent community-based strategies. To put together community-based strategies to be able to prevent gender-based violence, to mobilize women, girls, men, and boys at the community level for programming, formal and informal education setting, and to engage men and boys. And we do that through the media activity. So some of the things we're doing right now is some of the activities that we do to engage men and boys, to engage people in the informal and the formal setting. So we as the media, we work with journalists. We've trained over 300 journalists to be able to report gender sensitively. We're also working with media institutions. Currently, we've selected 15 media partners that we're going to work with, including LPS. Even though you don't know, let me let it get out of the bag.
Okay.
So we've already selected 15 media institutions that we're going to work with. Those media institutions were vetted by a vetting committee that was set up, and the committee vetted those media institutions. We have a lot of media institutions in the pool, and we vetted them because when they're 15, and we vetted those 15. Those 15 we're going to work with them directly with their newsrooms to be able to have a gender sensitive news content.
Okay.
And to be able to work with whoever that they will assign to us as our gender focal person. We'll be able to work with that person to be able to have programs that will address some of the issues we're talking about. Program that will raise awareness on some of these issues. So that's where we coming under the social norm, because we want a massive media awareness. That's why we are here. We're here earlier on Monday on the Super Morning Show. We are here today on the Bomba Show. So on different media institutions creating awareness on what the Spotlight Initiative is doing, and that is the media component.
We'll talk about an initiative of the Spotlight on the DNA machines. You got some DNA machines in the country?
Yes,
we'll talk about it, but
we'll talk about it.
I don't want us to skip the media thing you raised. When you said 15 media institutions vetted, are they Monrovia based?
Let me come to the DNA thing. We'll talk about the DNA thing, but my other colleague I've first in that one.
Okay.
So a good place.
But they're not going to come, so you answer all the questions.
But I was like, a little bit easier to answer all the questions.
I know.
But I will try. But on the media,
Monrovia based?
It's not Monrovia based. So for Monrovia we have 8, and then we have two from each of the Spotlight counties.
Each of the 5 Spotlight counties.
Yeah. So we have 8 in Monrovia based on the number of media institutions. I think 8 or 7.
Okay.
Off my head, but either 8 or 7, and then the rest of the 2. So we're dealing with 15. So we take 2 from the other counties. The rest, it could be 8 from the other counties, 7 will come from Maserado. And it's because Maserado has a largest number of radio stations.
Okay.
So,
and it's a big, you got a good population. But
But
let me ask you about kids, whether it's a girl, woman, whoever, who's a victim.
A survivor.
Is that person called a survivor?
If the person lived, they are a survivor. the entirety are a victim. So
Okay.
let me lay a statement.
And yeah, so we're learning here, and I hope you're listening to boys, girls, women, men, all are listening. So if somebody is a survivor from an act of violence, what do you do for rehabilitation? What do you do for building the person's morale? Because every time you are a victim, or you are a survivor, it goes over stigma, it goes over dent.
It has a serious self-esteem issue.
So how do you manage for psychological repair?
So the Spotlight Initiative is not just dealing, not just dealing with just us. As I talk about my component, that was good. That was why it was good with all my other colleagues who have been here.
Yeah.
But it is with other, so there where the psychosocial, there where the safe home comes in. So the Spotlight Initiative also empowering safe homes. So if a person was abused, that person lost a lot of, they have a lot of dignity issue, they have a lot of lower their self-esteem, and they need to have that self-esteem built. The first thing, the person is being stigmatized in the community. We know our African setting, our Liberian setting, the issue of victim blaming. So we start blaming that person, or the way you call, the way you dress, the way you look, the way you were around the ball or around the man or whatever. So that person needs to be out of that entire community. That person needs a space that they can be able to feel comfortable and be able to, rejuvenate and move on with their life. And there where the safe home comes in. So the Spotlight Initiative is also providing support to the gender ministry and to be able to build more safe homes. The ones that are already built, well equipped, and make them safer for survivors to feel at home.
All right, we're talking about how we can eradicate or eliminate violence against girls and women. So you are listening to the radio ELBC 99.9, other substations or other radio stations across Liberia. Madam Sata Johnson is our guest. We expect one more person to come and join us, Mama Sita. We hope that person joins us, and we continue the conversation. We are not going to talk all this evening without having you to participate. So very soon we'll open the line. So let's expose. The only way these things are eliminated or the things are eradicated if they are discussed and removed from our society. So let's name and shame those men, boys who are perpetrating violence against women. To participate on the show later on when I open the line, the number will be 0880-514-096. This is the Bumper Show. Sarah Johnson worked with the Spotlight Initiative, and she's doing all the media coordination. Say you have media works in 5 Spotlight counties. From your own yardstick, if you gauge the effect of the media on helping you eradicate the violence, what will you say? Are we making some strides? The media helping you or not?
The media is helping a lot. The media is helping a lot. The fact that we even here using the media space to talk about Spotlight Initiative and the issues and everything else, and we're expecting people to call in, it's a great help from the media. But our direct support to the media, those that we've engaged directly through training, we've done editors engagement, we've done media managers engagement, we've done different levels of training. We train entry-level journalists, we've trained mid-level journalists, we've engaged editors, and we're seeing some results. The issue of training and capacity building, you cannot measure it. It's not tangible to say, I put 1 cup here and I got the prophet are 2 cups. It's not tangible. It's not something you see. It's
but there'll be a behavior part or changing behavior.
That's what I was about to say. So it's a behavior pattern. So we're seeing that manifest at different levels. We're seeing like for language, because some of the things we talk about that we say that help to promote gender-based violence is the kind of languages we use.
You're doing dramas and jingles too?
Yeah, we air our jingles and dramas.
You're doing it in the vernaculars?
We got some in the vernaculars, but the vernaculars are being played in the counties.
Okay.
So the vernaculars like in.
But there are people in Monrovia who.
We know people in Monrovia who might not understand the standard English, so we have the one in the real simple Liberian English, the everyday Liberian English, and we have the one in the standard Liberian English, and we have the one in the vernaculars in the different counties.
So try and give us a graphic description of how you work. Do you go out in the field, see young people gather and try to tell them to be good citizens, or do you wait until they are victims or the survivor before you engage them for psychological repairs?
So what we do from our end of the Spotlight Initiative is what we're doing right now. We're creating awareness on the media. So we engage media practitioners.
But Madam Johnson,
we
that
conduct
didn't answer my
training.
question. Do you
I'm,
reach?
I'm going there.
All right.
We reach out, we do awareness. So we don't just, we're not into civic education, like you say, oh, be good citizens. Because the thing here is, violence do not occur to bad citizens. It's not because the person is a bad citizen that was why they were violated, or that was, the perpetrator targeted them.
Okay.
Perpetrators are just perpetrators. They target anybody.
But if you don't
anybody can be raped. Anybody can rape. So or anybody can be abused. Anybody can abuse. So it's not because the person is a bad citizen or the person is a good citizen. It's just that the violence that is within the person, the perpetrator.
My concern was whether you're reaching out because it's prevention.
That's what we are doing. It's outreach. So outreach is right now, and we are doing.
Are you doing it on high school campuses?
For us at our level, there are other small initiatives, a very big initiative. Other people doing different things. There are different components of the initiative. We have 10L, we have different organizations.
Because the question about schools and young people gathering or
that is why I'm coming
measure, like.
Can you allow me, Lynn?
Please do.
Okay. So it's a huge initiative. Have different civil society organizations operating. So we have people that are going on school campuses. We have the comprehensive roadmap that people breaking down into common Liberian English. As I said earlier, it's not just us. So it's a big initiative. You have the Ministry of Information, you have the Ministry of Gender, you have the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Labor, because it's looking at different sectors. So you have the Ministry of Education. So it's a big initiative that targets every, at different levels. So for us, we are doing the media component. There are other people doing the high school engagement you're talking about. There are other people doing other engagement. People engaging civil society, people engaging traditional leaders. So the issue of the heritage home that has to do with traditional leaders. Other people engaging, safe homes, building safe homes for survivor support. You're providing legal support. So there are different sectors of the Spotlight Initiative people are engaging in.
So somebody's listening right now in Chukwuzombli, around or Forbli or Bosijeta or Bokonima
or Bakali.
Oh, Bakale. You from Bakale?
Yes.
Oh, I can't see why you're particular about Bakale. I've been to Bakale. So somebody's listening to us in Bakale, Sino, is concerned about the FGM.
Okay.
Why do you consider it as a violence against a child?
Because it falls under a harmful traditional practice. I listed different harmful traditional practices.
I heard this.
So
But other people think it's our tradition and must be respected and protected.
No. Let us not go deep in the FGM. FGM is not a tradition. I think tradition is not bad. Tradition is good that people.
So you're fighting to eliminate it?
Yeah. And some of the things that we've done, we've done in that line is to work with the traditional leaders. The way the heritage home come in, the way Mama Sita was going to go, she has come because she comes directly from the traditional council. Yeah. She was going to address that part of it. But we've worked. We now at the Spotlight Initiative have worked with the Ministry of Gender, with the traditional leaders, and that was where we led. So the traditional chief Sazakao signed the 3-year ban that we know so far that is on FGM in Liberia. So
is it working?
It should be working because it was signed by the government of Liberia.
You said it should be.
That it should be because it was signed. It was not just signed by us but it was signed by the government of Liberia at the Gender Ministry. And Gender Ministry has a task force that's supposed to be monitoring. That it should be working. So it's not something like the partners came and they just signed and they went back. It was signed by the traditional leader, by Sasakawa. It was signed on February 6th on Zero Tolerance to FGM Day. It should be working. It's a whole lot that is in place. And it should be monitored by the Gender Ministry. So if it is not working, then we should be asking the government of Liberia and the Gender Ministry why it is not working.
Do you monitor?
I just said that it should be monitored by the Gender Ministry, the government of Liberia, and the Gender Ministry. So
not Spotlight Initiative.
It's not a Spotlight Initiative thing. It's the government of Liberia thing. It's the government of Liberia that said, oh, we need to stop FGM because we have learned and we've noticed and observed that it's not working for our people. It's harmful.
Harmful
And
traditional
they
practice.
agree and they sign. And he did not sign in one office. He signed in a public space. He signed at the ministerial complex. And people were there and he made commitments. So he signed that ban, and that ban trickled down to his people. He being the head of the traditional leader, he gave them the mandate to put a pause for 3 years. So if it is not working, then we should be asking him and asking the gender ministry.
ELBC Radio, we're talking about Spotlight Initiative activities in Liberia in 5 of the 15 counties, and they are going out and about trying to encourage you listening, to encourage somebody who is not listening to stop violence against women and girls. My concern is why gender bias, why violence against women. Are there no violence against boys and men?
There is indeed violence against boys and men.
So why you don't address it?
So we're addressing everything at that level. So the first thing is that the reason you hear women and girls, that if you do a proportional survey, you will notice that
there are more violence
against women and girls than boys. But they do address violence against boys.
I just want you.
If you look at it right now, because a lot of attention is on women and girls, the table is turning now. Most of our boys have been violated, and we encouraging boys that have been violated to be able to speak out. Before we started speaking up like now, before girls and women became bold to speak out, we were also in the dark. We're not saying anything because of the stigma that surrounds violence. So if a boy or a man and whoever feel they are being violated, there's a space for you to speak out. Don't say, oh, because I'm now a girl and they're not talking for me, so I will not speak up. No, you are a human, and violence against women and girls or violence against anybody is violence against a human right. It's a human rights issue. So whether you are a boy or a girl, if you're being violated, you have the right to speak up.
And human rights issues are international crime.
International
crimes. You could be booked anywhere in the world.
Definitely,
if you rape somebody in Liberia, you don't go free. All right, so we will soon open the lines, and so you'll be a part of the show circle.
Yeah, so before we open the lines, I was just trying to say the pillars we are working on. Now, talking about the issue of equitable social norms, and also talking about the issue of equitable essential services for survivors.
I'm sorry.
For survivors, it should be available. We talk about ensuring access to maternal care, like building capacity of service providers. Service providers are those that serve our survivors. Improving service provider coordination and coverage. So we are service providers, because even what we're doing right now is a service we are providing as the media. Just by sitting here and talking about it, we are providing services. So how do we coordinate our coverages? So those are provided, as we were asking about going to high schools, going to other sectors, other areas. So those that go into other areas, how do we find a synergy? How do we coordinate to make this work? And then also improving the data quality, accuracy, and availability of data on violence against women and girls. And we know there's a data center at the Ministry of Gender that collect these data, that people, because if I don't know, if I don't have the numbers, so I just come in and say, take for example, road broke into my house, they stole my computer, or they stole everything. You will ask me, what did they steal? I have to say, they stole one computer, they stole one laptop, they stole my cell phone. I have to be able to add number to those, to the quantity that I'm talking about. And the number can qualify. The quantity is there, but the number give it a little bit quality. So that data control or that data availability, that is being handled by also the gender ministry. Gender ministry has a huge component. On one of our media engagement, we'll bring the gender ministry here. They will tell you more what they're doing.
That will be good.
Yes.
That will be good. So
and then we also empower civil society and women movements. So under that segment of empowering civil society and women movement, that where they work with different civil society organizations. They have the civil society secretariat, where civil society coordinate their activities and everything they do under the Spotlight Initiative. So the Spotlight Initiative, not just a small component, because you see Siata is here and talking about media awareness. So it's not just about media, it's a huge project that is in every corner, in every sector, and everybody.
You can stop the media people from talking. We made some attempts to go to the telephone. The telephone lines are blinking. People are anxious to call and be a part of the show, but she's talking. That's the media. and the media is talking
How we're
media.
trained to do.
Ezekiel Fortis Salif Junior is watching from where he didn't say. Keep up the good works. Fakali M. Moba, keep up the good work. I'm watching from India, all right?
Oh, that's
So,
great.
yeah, good to hear you. We like your contribution too, not just watching. Arthur Jones, Arthur, good afternoon. I'm watching you from Grand Julius, Town. And Tonian Brooks, some women are violent against men also. So, what protection can they get? I hope you answer that question. Nathan, reaching the point, I need glasses like Siata is wearing.
Can I
Nathan,
borrow
no,
more?
please, thank you. Nathan Jabador. Good afternoon. I'm watching you from Greenville City, Sino County. Keep sending your comments on the social media. We will read them out, and then we will also invite you to the social media this evening for our 7 o'clock news and our 8 o'clock news on the social media. And then at 9 o'clock is All Things Considered here. We have a guest from the United States of America, Fair Gwen, who will be our guest on the show. So if you're watching LNTV tonight at 9 o'clock on social media, we'll be glad to hear from you. But now we go to the telephone line. Our first caller is on the line. Good afternoon.
Yeah, how are you, sir?
Yeah, you're live. Go ahead. I bet you listen to the conversation.
Yeah, I've been listening to comment. I'm dropping tears as I'm speaking to you now.
Why?
I said I'm dropping tears as I'm
I
speaking
heard
to
you.
now.
The guest heard you. Why you dropping tears?
Okay, thank you for security reason. I will not call my name and my location. But I really need a serious guest contact number. Because that's all what she's saying is in my shoes now as I'm speaking to you. And now I'm afraid to go to court because I don't have money. You understand what I'm saying?
Somebody accused you falsely?
It is in my shoe now. My wife was beaten by a group of people. She went on an operation. She came back. They went and beat on her again. We went to the professor center with the case. The case went against the police officer and they attempted her home for that. But those that he brought to beat my wife, they and myself want to go to court. And as I'm speaking now, the violence is still taking place in this community. So I just need her number. Then I will explain to her in detail. Yeah. Please.
All right, we'll ask her where she'll be able to get her number, but you need to be talk to her, and also your wife for the alleged violence against her. Thank you. You said you're not gonna call your name, but where you call from?
I call from Chicago Party, Vito Allen.
All right, so we'll give you can give your number.
Yeah, I need her number.
This is a wider space. So I can't, just announce my number right now. But it would be good if you just text your number to the number you call.
No, it's difficult
Is it
to
landline?
the landline. So text your number, send it to 086 517 82.
The number that I'm calling on now, right?
Yeah, but we also took your number down too, so we'll make contact with you.
Okay. That's my number. So I'll text my number. You have my number already.
Your number ends with 59, right?
Yeah, 59, my number.
All right.
Okay, then we'll get in contact with you after the show. Thank you. Can I address?
Yeah, just take note of his concern. We'll come to. We'll come to. All right, sir. Thank you. So, if you have a similar situation and you're faced with violence or threat on your life from, your girl child or your man or whoever you are, please let's talk about it. The more we talk about it, the more we address them and we eradicate or eliminate them. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah, you're live on ELBC.
Thank you so much. My name is Michael Jabo, and I call you from Monrovia.
Good to have you, Mr. Jabo.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Red. The issue of gender-based violence is something very serious. So my own frustration has to do with the NGO that are carrying on the advocacy. Normally, when we are selecting counties, the select counties that is nearby, thousand other counties that are in the southeast area. I'm talking about Maryland, Grand Coup, River G, Grand Gila, or Sando. These counties are abandoned. They are abandoned because the gender-based violence that we are advocating for affects people in those counties. And now she said we have 15 legal institutions that we are working with. And I thought that since that this county was abandoned, to take representatives for these drug counties, it would be better for us. If you have somebody from Plido, reporting from gender-based issue from Plido,
to the organization, they will have what's going on there. But since they were organized, that was case that they have ever done reporting from Maryland for all counties. And as you say that they have plans to go to those counties, that was clear us. The timetable, let us ask this, which time we expect them to be in Maryland County in Pennsylvania?
Okay, Jebo, thank you.
Okay.
Bye bye, Jebo. Moses Jebo calling from Monrovia. He's concerned about you extending your work in other parts of Liberia where people are very, very, very vulnerable. ELBC Radio, hello.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mr.
Good. All right.
My name is Hussein Kenu, and I call from Jacob on the Peace Island. I want to shoot a blessing to you for the educations and the enlightenment. I have a question. I'm going to listen to people when they talk about gender issues, but that's men and women.
You scrap it. You need to relocate. I'm not getting you clear. Yes, yeah, those sign coming. We'll try to understand you. Go ahead.
Yes, can I go ahead?
Please do.
Yes, fine. So thank you. So like I said, gender is both men and women. But in most cases, we listen to those advocates coming mostly from the women's side. And I have an experience with one of my friends who explained situations to me with a lady who is really enough 75 years and this guy just 18. She previously was so cash in calling the relationship. So can we push that case to office?
A young boy with a 75-year-old woman?
Yes. He's not doing it by himself.
He's not doing it by his... All right, you got... So you... All right. All right, she's taking note. A young boy, what's his age? 18, with a 75-year-old woman? Influencing with cash. All right. So she's taking note on that and see how it can be addressed as what it can be considered as a violence against a boy. So let's hear from you. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much to our callers. It's good that they're interested in it, and I like the fact that a lot of males are listening and they are interested in the conversation. So the first person that text, I think he made a comment. He talked about women, boys and men being also abused.
Sure.
And I said it earlier on, you cannot, the thing about violence, even though we are saying violence against women and girls, because let's be real, let Liberians be real. The ratios are there, the numbers are there, even in your home, the level of violence against the girls in your home as compared to the boys in your home. So because of the ratio, so the world is focusing on violence against women. And it differs in different society, in different locations, the violence against whoever it differs there. But for us in Liberia, we know in Liberia there are more violence against women and girls than violence against boys and men. We saw the quarter that said a group of people, I think they violated his wife, they beat her and everything else. They did that to her because of her gender or her sex. So that's the reality. Where people just want to play around the bush and make fun and be sarcastic about it. But we know the reality is there are a lot of violence against women and girls than boys and men. But equally so, boys and men can be abused. It's because boys and men are human. So it's not because when we say anybody can be violated, anybody can perpetrate violence. Violence is not a particular person to say, because the men are men, or because he's a man, so he's violent, or because she's a woman, so she's a nice person. A woman can also be violent. A man can be violent. It's the person, it's the individual. But we know in Liberia and other parts of Africa, the ratio is that a lot of women suffer violence because of their sex, because of what society has portrayed them to be, because of what where society has placed them. We are at the bottom. Just the fact that you are a girl, when a girl is born today, just the fact that she's a girl, she start to experience violence right there. From the day of childhood, the day you were born, the day you start to sit down, you hear people saying, you can set a boy child down when he's 4 months old. and you set the girl down, she's 3 months. So why must a 3 months old girl be struggling to sit down? Let's take for example they were twin. If I had a twin brother, Isaac and I, we are twin, and then two of us born the same day. But because I am the girl, I will sit down at 3 months, and Isaac will be laying down in the bed waiting to be 4 months old before they can set Isaac down. So they start straining my small little backbone because I'm a girl. They start forcing me to sit down while Isaac is relaxed and waiting to be 4 months old. So we know that the issues are there. Society, culture, and everything have placed women at the level of that which they suffer different forms of violence. Different forms of violence. So we cannot be there around the bush and say, oh, men can suffer violence too. Why they're not advocating for men? So it comes back to this next caller from Maryland, Mr. Chaibo. It's true, but the baseline survey that was done was not done by local organizations. And the 5 spotlight county across, I mentioned Kranjide. Kranjide is like the hub for the southeast. And we were in Kranjide conducting training. We have the 15 institutions that will benefit. There are 2 institutions from Kranjide that are going to be benefiting from the spotlight support. So Kranjide represents the southeast when it comes to the spotlight initiative. So it's not just nearby counties. We have Lofa, we have Kranjide. Lofa and Kranjide are not nearby counties. So again, as I said, it's the donors that did that survey, and they came up with the findings that put these 5 counties a little bit higher, and then those 5 counties are being piloted. But gradually it will reach across to everybody.
It will reach across the country.
And I like the spirit he talking with anger and everything. I hope you want to put that anger in, exposing violence and talking about it more.
So let's turn our energy in exposing violence more. You still responding?
Yeah, the 18-year-old case. 18 is an age of consent. If the 18-year-old boy feels violated, he can complain. But he complains, whatever it is, it might be maybe domestic violence and whatever violence he can complain. But he can't complain violence because of the age gap. Because the age gap, both of them are
it's love.
The both of them are people of consent. He's 18, he can make his own choice. He's eligible to vote.
But he could be having some.
He could be having some other.
He could be influenced.
He could be having other form of violence, but he shouldn't be.
Again, who determines that?
That's it. He can complain. He has the right to complain. He feels violated, he feels domestic violence, maybe his spouse, which is 75-year-old woman, treating him because she has that is power indifference, they got power over and power within. So she has the power over. So if there's now a power within and it's a power over, and he feels that he's being manipulated because of the power over, he has the right to complain. But in this case, there is nothing we can do. He's not below 18.
An excellent response to the concerns from Moses Jebo, as well as Kewu from Jacobtown, especially the last caller. Kewu speaks about
18-year-old one,
18 and 75. Interesting.
And interesting how let me real to the sun. In Liberia, in Africa, in Liberia, you wouldn't have a 75-year-old man actively into relationship. He shouldn't be exaggerating. Now, I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
I agree.
But a 75-year-old man be actively into relationship.
He could be suspecting.
Yeah.
About 75.
75-year-old man putting him up, just eating and sleeping now, man.
Well, if she's sexually active, maybe.
No, they have the right to be sexually active. But culture and everything can suppress him. Can tell us, what you looking for? Answer that man, what he looking for.
All right. So Jerry, did I read this? Yes, I read this. No. J. Larry Talu. Good evening. I'm watching you live from the Masses headquarters, the Mighty Coalition for Democratic Change, CDC headquarters. Headquarters where? Maryland. Lofa Bon, where? He is CDC headquarters. Abraham Bowman. Watching from Police Academy. Well, not one Police Academy, so maybe that's the one in Monrovia or Pinsville. Joseph T. Weir. Good afternoon. I'm watching live from Plebo, Sodokan District, Maryland County, the land of sunshine. And then Joseph Kine says, watching you from Rakot. I hope I got this one right. Rakot City, India. Back to the telephone line and let's talk to more callers. Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, hello. But man, are you concerned about how you coming on? Good. So where you come from? Kakata? And you asking me, and you? Oh, you called because you saw the number on your phone. All right, too bad. Try and check out who owns it. Okay? Bye. Find out who owns the number. You called because you saw the number on your phone?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The number that's in my phone. I don't know whose number it is. I'm going to call the phone up.
Call another time. That number is very busy now with national issues, yeah?
Oh, okay. Thank you, sir.
ELBC Radio, he called the number because he finds the number on his phone. He doesn't know who owns it. Wow, too bad. Well, that's part of it. ELBC Radio, we're taking more calls on eradicating or eliminating violence against girls and women, even if it's a boy or man. So call on, let's talk on the show. Sata Johnson is here. We expected earlier on Mama Sita to talk more about this, and Patricia Johnson, is that Patricia Scott? Patricia Scott to talk about. I was interested in the DNA, but you know a little bit of it. Why did people bring the DNA machine? Is it working?
Yeah, the DNA machine is working. I know the president donated some, and they're working. And the issue of the DNA that I know is in country, is working. I don't know if it's in full effect now. I mean, full effect, like people accessing it now for legal purposes, because it was brought in for to be able to help the justice system to prosecute cases of SGBV, you know, to have the DNA samples. For example, if I accuse Isaac for sexually abusing me, Isaac, you know, there should be some samples, because what they do is that the referral pathway, I don't know if I can talk a little bit about the
Please do.
referral pathway. Referral pathway is in the way that if a survivor is abused, the first place she goes is not to the police. In most cases in the community, by the time we hear rape, we go call police. You know, you could call the police. And sometimes the police you go to call is not from the Women and Children Protection Section. Maybe you could call some kind of traffic police, or you go, you just find allow the person in uniform, you grab the person and carry them there. So they themselves don't know what to do, because the people from the Women and Children Section are trained, they know what to do. So if you call somebody from the Women and Children Section, they know the referral pathway. And the referral pathway goes like this: if a survivor is abused, the first place she goes or he goes is to the hospital, because the health center. And the hospital, there are a lot of one-stop centers in Liberia. When you say, in Monrovia, when you say one-stop centers, at a hospital like the Tupo Road is a one-stop center, JDJ is a one-stop center. So that one-stop center has a police, a psychosocial person there to provide psychosocial support, somebody from the safe home if that person, because sometimes the survivor do not need to go back home. So the survivor will go straight to the safe home. They have the safe home, they have the victim advocate, who now call it survivor advocate, but still call them victim advocate. When that name was coined, they were still calling survivors and victims, so it's called the victim advocate. That person is responsible to take the case to court. And what people don't understand, that if a survivor, if I am abused as Siata, and that case goes to court, it's not me, Siata. It's like the perpetrator, Isaac, sorry. The perpetrator, Isaac, first in the Republic of Liberia. Siata, the survivor, is just a witness. I become a state witness.
So the government takes up the responsibility of prosecuting
Isaac,
the alleged
perpetrator. So, if that person goes to the hospital is there to take a sample and everything to prove that, you know, they got to preserve those samples, maybe my underclothes, maybe, you know, things that to prove that Isaac really violated me. So that after they do all that, they have it, you know, secured in a place, and you know they know how to do their stuff and put it where it's supposed to be. Then they can send the case to the police. Then the police do the investigation.
So then you have some pieces of evidence.
Yeah, and the police forward it to court.
Have you heard?
Then we start the process.
Start the process of.
Then they can send the person to psychosocial. So from the hospital, psychosocial, police, court.
Have you heard that if you don't?
Referral
Have you heard that if you don't want a bone to be consumed, or eating the bone should not be on the dump site?
Please don't bring that story here to me. That if you want to eat the fish when I smell, don't go there with me with that fish when I smell.
I'm concerned when I raise that, because most of the young children under age are all in the streets in the night after hours, almost naked.
That is no reason.
I didn't say it was a justification, but
But let me be quick to point out that people should know that there is no excuse whatsoever, no justification
for violation of the law.
Well, not just for violation of the law, for rape.
For perpetrating.
To say, oh, because the woman was drunk, or because the woman was drunk, she lied down. So
Or she almost, I saw her naked.
I saw her
11
naked.
o'clock.
There is no excuse whatsoever for.
But then
violence.
what do we do?
We know there
Because
are.
what we try to do is to prevent.
There-
There's no excuse for the commission of the crime, but we try to prevent.
I know.
This-
So I know there are. We call the kind of the kind of thing influencing consequences or influencing causes or things. Things that influence it, like drug, alcohol, and everything. But it does not. We shouldn't be having that conversation to say, oh, because the person was drunk, so the person
Was violated. But do you have a section that addresses?
Indeed, people talk about the high school engagement, high school clubs, and everything else, and the young people engagement, the awareness in the market. We have a whole campaign that called "We Are Unprotected." We do the unprotected campaign and everything. We talk about it.
All right.
We talk about safety and security. We talk about personal safety and security.
We will soon be leaving here.
You cannot say it's a reason for somebody to
No excuse. So we have less than 4 minutes to go, but we want to dedicate that time, maybe 2 more persons, and I will be very, very glad if a girl child, if a woman will call in the show, because it's all about protecting you, and you know of instances, a situation where people have been violated, or you have been. If you don't want to call your name, fine, you can call us so that we hear your story, and hearing your story will help us to eliminate and eradicate other people's stories. So you have a minute or two to do that. We appreciate you calling to the show. And let's tell the story. Tell the story that will arrest the issue of violence against women and girls. Nobody wants to call. I don't know why. Especially the women who are on a discussion here this evening. Sata Scott Johnson is our studio guest. She is here and we're talking everything that has to do with violence against, eradicating or eliminating violence against girls and women. Nobody wants to call, not a man. If no woman wants to call, I'm encouraging you now to take the telephone and call. Maybe you'll be the last caller on the show. ELBC Radio. This is the bumper show this evening on television. It's All Things Considered. We encourage you to listen to it, to the program. Our guest this evening will be from the United States of America, Fred Gwen. We're having on Tuesday. We have some very bad reception or very bad technology. So we want to do the show again with Fred Gwen this evening at 9 o'clock. So please join us. But let me get your parting words, same as though our telephone is not giving us a call. So let me hear from you before we
I know the reason why we're not having a lot of callers is because we're not discussing politics, we're not discussing 2023, we're not discussing whatever, that people that are think that they should be discussing. So you don't have a lot of callers. And the topic we're discussing is personal. And people forget that the personal is political.
I'll come to you. Somebody annoyed, they want to call right away. Hello?
Yeah, how are you?
Last caller, make it a little snappy.
Yeah, I just think that's not call first.
So go ahead.
Yeah, I beg my sister. Please, I beg you, please give me your contact number and I will get to you.
All right, please. We took your number. She will reach you. Oh, please. I didn't consider you as the last guy either because you called before. Hello? Oh, too bad.
So as I said, people will not call in because we're not talking politics. We were talking politics here. You see them now. Will be hard, but that's the reality because we are talking personal issues. The things that affect us personally should affect us politically because the personal is political.
So if I have a case or if I have a problem with abuse, where do I go?
So if you have a problem with abuse, as I said, we had a one-stop centers at the different hospitals. But if you don't want to go to the ones, because some people don't want to go through all the processes, some just want to go straight to court, you go to the crimes unit. There's a crimes unit at the Ministry of Justice. So the SPOIL initiative is working with the Ministry of Justice, the Ministry of Gender, the Ministry of Health. It's also working with the Ministry of Education, Ministry of Internal Affairs, Ministry of Information, Independent Human Rights Commission, the National Traditional Council. Those are the people at the national level the Spotlight Community Initiative works with. And it also works with 16 CSO, including women groups, and where we come in as the Female Journalists Association of Liberia. So all the groupings, you can go to them, but mainly you can go to the Ministry of Justice because the Ministry of Justice is the prosecuting arm of the Republic of Liberia.
We would always like to have you here. Thanks for coming. And let's talk
Thank
this
you
issue
so
every
much.
day.
And we'll still come again because we want to have more publicity around the work of the Spotlight Initiative. But it's a pleasure having me here.
Thank you for listening, for calling in, for participating on the show. For those of you who didn't make it to call, well, please try another time. We'll always have the women issues being discussed on the ELBC radio. You know, ELBC is headed by a female, so all the women issues will be lifted. Goodbye, thanks, and don't forget, I said 9 o'clock tonight, go to LNTV Live, our Facebook page. Joseph Smart was our in-house video man, but we had the social media, Anthony Williams, the producer of the show, Richmond Gay, and of course, we had Mervyn Stewart providing sound for us. Sada Johnson was here as our guest. Pleasant, goodbye.